Due to some sexual content, parental discretion is advised.
Did you see that shit, that fucking loon that was posted on Lauren's timeline?
No.
Yeah, I saw that. What
Everything, like, he posted like 60 times just all this gay shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So Lauren retweeted it.
Very,
crazy.
very bizarre.
What? He was posting what?
Just out, like, putting these links to all this gay shit, or, like, saying, white boys cocks, shit like that.
Oh, my God.
So the guy tweets to Lauren, "Why are you such a douchebag?" And then all of his replies after that are at gay porn models, at gay porn king, at queer boy Alex, at cam for gay, at gay political, at lesbian tech. He just goes on with all these gay things. At gay sex, at anal sensation, at lesbian tech. Jeremy Irons is his name. He's got 2 followers. First time you're getting famous is when you get fucking weirdos after you.
Yeah, so crazy.
It's gotta be Shayne's phony account.
All right, here we go. 3, 2.
Trubisky to the end zone, deflected and caught. Zach Miller, the touchdown. The first thrown in the NFL by Mitchell Trubisky, and Andrew Sendejo cannot believe he didn't pick it off. This one-back, 3 tight end set. Here's a bootleg, and Trubisky gives his tight end Miller a chance, and Sendejo just misjudged it.
Well, I think our guys feel it. I think they feel his presence. I know he scrambled for a first down. They were able to do some different things with him as far as attacking the corner. And those things will grow with time. I think for a first outing, I thought he was really good. I know his teammates feel the same way, and he'll just get better with time.
Now going for 2 for the tie, and some trickery. How about that play? It wound up getting pitched back to Trubisky to tie the game.
Do you feel like you were lifting the guys a little bit?
I was trying to. Just with my presence, how much I love this game and how much I love this team, and hopefully that could just motivate some guys to play harder, and I think they have faith in me. They believe in me when I'm in that huddle and when I'm making plays, and when things break down, they know the plays is never really over. Anything could happen, and so hopefully the way I work and the way I carry myself just lifts others up, because that's what I'm trying to do, and it just makes playing with these guys so much better, and it makes the whole process that much more fun.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Bears 100 Proof. You just heard head coach John Fox talk about the team's locker room feeling something special in the air under the leadership of Mitch Trubisky. Then you heard Mitch Trubisky himself talk about how he thinks he's lifting the team up. Welcome, Barflies. Yeah, I'm going to call our listeners Barflies from now on unless someone has a better name. My name is Aldo Gandia, and with me, as always, are the stars of this nightclub act, Draft Dr. Philotoshin, and the smartest man in the barroom, Shayne Marsaw. Men, we have a lot to cover. We'll talk about the football game itself, the disappointing 20-17 loss to division rivals Minnesota Vikings at Soldier Field, and we'll cover the awful state of officiating in the NFL, the awful state of coaching in Chicago. We'll do our regular weekly features, and I'll have a special message to some people I once considered friends, but who are apparently my adversaries. Fellas, I do want to start by getting a review from each of you on the play of Mitch Trubisky. I want to start with Shayne Marsaw. Shayne, what'd you think of the play of Trubisky?
2 weeks in a row, he's starting with Shayne.
Got to start with the best. I don't blame y'all, though.
You go and save the best for... Oh, sorry.
That's a gay song, by the way, so there you go.
This reminds me of Lauren Cox's timeline.
Oh, yeah. Was Was that a fart or a vibrate? Was that a fart or a vibrating phone?
Who stepped on a frog over there?
What are we supposed to talk about, Mike Glennon?
The giraffe.
Who's
guy?
Mike Glennon?
Go ahead, Jay.
We're totally off the skis here. No, the big debut of number 10. No, it was. I go back to what my partner in crime over there, Mr. Atoshin, talked about. This, we all love Chicago Bears football, but it's this something about this 2017 season, the first 4 games. It was just not that I wasn't excited to watch the games, but I didn't have that same passion and that same excitement, that same game day nervousness leading up to kickoff that I normally do. And yesterday was one of the longest days that I can remember. I felt like it was, draft day, and you're waiting all day long to see, your team on the clock. That's kind of what I compared it to yesterday. It just seemed like everything dragged so much because we've been waiting for this day since the end of April when Ryan Pace traded up just one spot to secure his, really his franchise savior at this point. And he came out of the tunnel there for warm-ups. I sent you guys that text when you could hear the cameras clicking, and it just had such a different feel to it. And they followed that up with Mike Glennon walking out, and it was just, I was waiting for that trombone, that sad trombone to go off, because I think, Aldo, you said, talk about an inspiration. That was really a good way to put it, because it was so sad. I mean, it
Actually, Aldo, you gotta put that up tonight for the fan, because he actually is coming out to the national anthem rehearsal, and he looks like a Nazi freaking prison guard coming out of there. It's the funniest footage.
Yeah, it's funny and sad all at the same time.
Exactly.
Because you got to wonder what's going through his head. Mitch is walking out there, and it's like he's walking down a red carpet, for some hot chick, and everybody's blasting pictures of him, and then this big giraffe mope comes down the red carpet, and everybody's like, who the fuck is this guy? And they're turning around looking for somebody else. But back to Mitch. No, it's, you could feel the enthusiasm, not just with myself. You could feel it in Soldier Field, and it was noticeable just through the TV, just with the cheers, and you could actually feel the anticipation. And it's been a long time since we've seen and felt that at Soldier Field, and it's all because of one kid and one debut. And it just kind of tells you the depths of this negativity that we're trying to crawl out of. And hopefully Trubisky is the one that, can lead us out of those depths that we've been in, like I said. But it's not a perfect debut by any means. But was I disappointed in the loss? Yes. But I saw what I wanted to see. I saw his traits translate to the field. And as this team, as this talent gets better around him, I think he's going to be the perfect guy to take us where we want to go.
Before I get to you, Phil, I just want to play this quick soundbite from Mitch Trubisky where he was asked about what he felt about his pro debut.
It was fun. It was Monday Night Football. The crowd was electric. Got to thank them for coming out and being loud and really supporting us. But it's just a start. So take the good with the good and the bad with the bad, and just roll from there, and just know it's the first one. So can only get better. That's got to be the mindset, and just go back to work and keep improving and keep making my teammates better.
Phil, all yours.
Aldo, I hadn't heard Soldier Field that loud in 10 years. I tweeted that out. And then to watch him get under center on his very first throw and throw an absolute dime on third down to Wright and to get a first down and keep the drive going. It almost was Wright directed at all the critics talking about can't take a snap under center. He's only no spread. He shouldn't be out there. This was 4 games too late for me. This whole situation culminating with the electricity that the fans and the franchise, more so than anything, deserves, despite all the neglect and all the mishaps that we've seen this franchise go through, from announcing Coach McGinnis to settling for Jerron to trying to get Nick Saban and settling for Lovie Smith and firing Lovie after 10 wins and maybe it was time, and hiring Trestman. The whole gambit of Chicago Bear football, then having Cutler here and the narrative and the tug of war. Now it became a comic act, as Shayne was describing Glennon walking out. I mean, in what world is that your quarterback, or you, a professional assessor of talent, coming away that this is my guy to transition our franchise? When you look at this young rock star next to him, and it's not even close. It's like playing kickball in the 5th grade, and there's always that one dominant kid that you're going to pick first. It certainly is not going to be Mike Glennon, and that kind of competition in a football locker room, everybody knows. And really, to watch him go out there for the first time with the lack of weapons, with all the narrative, and really be put in some terrible situations by errors and sloppiness that really wasn't helpful to this player. As Aldo and I talked about pre-game on BHL, we talked about you needed to have people, everyone focused and really understanding the plan and catching everything and going out of your way to transition this rookie. Well, the rookie was the best player on the football field next to Jordan Howard. And that's honesty. Maybe on the offensive side of the football, because I thought Akeem Hicks was absolutely astonishing out there watching him play. But I digress to Mitchell. I agree with Shayne and what we've talked about constantly, Aldo. When you analyze and put up his presser, this kid, it's a game to him, as he said. Yeah, it was fun. It was Monday night. It was electric. It's his competitive spirit rubbing off on a locker room, I think, can change the tides and the course of this franchise. Unfortunately, I think the wrong coaching staff is walking step with him right now. And really, I worry about that hindering the process of the young man in games. I don't think it's going to adhere his growth or stop him from where he's going. I just am disappointed that it took so long, and now, as we're going to get into tonight, to see how they're misusing this football player and the personnel surrounding him. But it was, honestly, I don't think fans realize how good it was on film, and statistically it doesn't show up because of coaching and refereeing and officials really taking this game away from allowing it to be what it was. And it could have been spectacular, but ultimately this prognosticator known as the Godfather really called out Boger for what he was, and they took the game away from having it be on the players. And I don't know how, if I was a Minnesota Viking fan, that I would stand there and be very confident in what transpired, or happy that I'd want to finish this out and win formidably. And I don't think that transpired. It's unfortunate, but Mitchell Trubisky was tremendous in my eyes and I'm gonna go through the tape. And I just put 2 drives. I took a couple plays up for Bears Barroom up on the Twitter, so we're gonna get into more of that. I just haven't had time to really do it yet.
Here's what Trubisky said about the one blemish of his evening, the one big blemish, let's say.
Yeah, so we had a little quick game called right there, and just broke out to the right, and that was basically me trying to do too much, trying to make a play when I just need to know the situation, throw the ball away, and play another down. But I got a lot of faith in my receivers out there, and Zach, and I was just trying to do too much outside of what I need to do. Just know the situation, know it's first down, throw that ball away, and go play. So I just forced one. Thought I gave him a chance, and the other dude made a play, so credit to him. But I can't do that. Can't put my team in that situation.
Yeah, he also needed to know that Harrison Smith was there, and he is probably the second or third best safety in the NFL, and just not a wise throw. And Shayne, I don't believe that there's anything that Zach Miller did wrong. Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. I mean, I saw Bucky Brooks put out there, that Dowell Loggins should have shielded Mitch Trubisky from that throw, and guys, it is what it is. We know the kid is raw. He's had 30. Everybody keeps on talking about the 31 starts. He's appeared in 13 collegiate games, but we're gonna see these bumps in the road. And what we want to see is how does he rebound next week when he's in that same exact situation. In a 2-minute drive in the fourth quarter versus Baltimore. On first down, if the play breaks down and he rolls out to his right, and he's in a similar situation with Zach Miller, with a safety on him like that, is he gonna bail and throw the ball out of bounds, or is he gonna try to run and gain as many yards as possible, or is he just gonna make the same ill-fated throw again and end the drive on first down? And that's kind of what we saw in years past with quarterbacks in Chicago. You kind of see a repeat performance of a lot of that stuff, and you just want to see. And it was refreshing to hear Mitch Trubisky after the game, talk to that and really put himself on the island. And he said that that he spoke to his teammates and said that it's really on him. And you can't make that pass on first down unless that the guy is absolutely open, because you have to fight, you have to live to fight another down. And like I said, it's nothing on Zach Miller, but it's not going to be a perfect process. It's not going to be perfect every week. You just want to see, like I referred to earlier, his mobility translated. We saw that yesterday. His accuracy translated over to the field. We saw that again. Just it's one of those bumps in the road, and you just want to see him take this steady progression forward and not repeat a throw like that, this Sunday in Baltimore.
And this is what he said after the game when he took accountability for the bad throw.
Yeah, I just felt like it was on me, but they know I'm gonna go back to work. I'm gonna fix my mistakes, and I'm gonna watch this film, be critical of myself, and they know I'm gonna get better. So I appreciate them having faith in me and having my back.
I mean, how refreshing it is to hear a quarterback speak that way, unlike Mike Glennon. And I got this feeling that every time I say that name, Mike Glennon, I'm going to hear this. It's just gonna be ingrained in my mind now after Shayne said that sad trombone noise. But Glennon a couple of weeks ago blamed partly his center for that the knee fumble, and on the other hand, it was Trubisky taking total accountability for his mistakes and saying that he knew his teammates were going to watch him get better and study and correct those mistakes. That's just very refreshing, isn't it, Phil?
Absolutely. I mean, you're a professional. You're a competitor. He admitted in the previous clip he shouldn't have done that. He's got to fight and live another day. I mean, anybody watching football at home and has watched it their whole life, doesn't have to be a coach, to recognize the superior talent with that football flying off that kid's arm and being as accurate as it was, the athleticism, as Shayne said, it all transferred over. It was very clear that this kid is 20 to 50 miles ahead of anything you saw in Mike Lennon. It just begs the question what this team could have been, where he could have been on Monday night or Thursday night versus Green Bay as he goes forward. I can't get past that. I won't get past that because I think competition, we always tout it. I believe it. I've seen it so many times. Even the kid that I could never believe, Aldo, was going to rise to the occasion. I put him as a second stringer, and then ultimately the kid goes into competition versus a kid I thought was a superior athlete to this young man, and that young man just blows my mind in how he's a gamer. And that is a description of this kid in Trubisky. So I'm never going to get past that. I don't like how it was handled. I don't like how the GM or who is making decisions for this young man. I think I'm going to go back to Shayne because I think it's important. I agree with Bucky Brooks. I agree with Shayne as well. I could do both. I understand what Shayne's saying. There's going to be bumps in the road, and the competitor and coach in me is never putting that rookie in that situation at that time. Now, why? Because I felt like the best football player needed to have the ball in his hands, and you needed to ground it and control it and get Mitch out of that backfield in that area in your own under your own end zone, because you're dealing with such a close game and you don't know how he's going to respond. You make it easier for him. And I felt like that opportunity was missed, as well as a bunch of others, by this offensive coordinator. And that's where I agree with Bucky Brooks. Run the football there. Run it. Use his feet. Run the zone read. Get the win. That's important to me. And I agree that Mitch's growth and development's important too. But I think you would have been better off running the football, getting it out from your own territory, and work the field. And I think we would have seen a different outcome. In fact, I know we would have. And that's the only critique I have. Now, Shayne's 100% right. Now that it transpired, you can't go back. And his words have to reign physically in the next game. And you love to see athletes owning their mistakes as well as being prideful of their play and performance. There's no way to go around the truth. So when people are, this guy's an arrogant guy, this guy, look at OBJ, he's so arrogant. There's a way to handle confidence, and I think Mitchell Trubisky is honestly got to make the front office very happy from what we've seen here and how he handled that situation, how he played in the big stage, and really being let down by his teammates, his coaching staff, and the officials, really. And that's just true. That's not me spinning anything or being a fan. That's what I saw watching this game twice now. And I think Trubisky now is a really positive thing moving towards the franchise. Anybody walking away, not only watching his game tape, watching him live, and then listening to his comments upset with this young man, is really somebody who already decided that they were against him because they want to see him fail and they want to see the Bears fail. There's no other way to transfer that. I'm a big Deshaun Watson guy. Deshaun Watson's play and performance is unreal. If you watch it, it's tremendous. And I look at Mitchell Trubisky, and I think it's just as tremendous without the touchdowns and everything. It's his first game on the biggest stage in sports, Monday Night Football. And I really thought he handled it, and he handled the presser well, Aldo. I think there's so much to like about this young player.
I'm not going to argue with you there. Shayne, let's talk about the game as a whole. This drops the Bears to 1-4, 1-2 at home, 2 losses against divisional opponents. What was your impressions about the overall performance out on that football field on Monday night?
Well, overall, I mean, it was a lot of hit and miss. I mean, from the Chicago Bears players, from the Chicago Bears coaching staff, from the referees, and that's, that part of it was just really, really hard to watch. We've waited so long, like I said, for this big debut for Mitch, and you wanted to see somebody like maybe with the speed element that Marcus Sweeten supposedly could bring to this team. You wanted to see a guy like him step up and do something. We never saw that. I think you saw some signs of life with Kendall Wright, what he could be with a little more work with Mitch Trubisky. I was really disappointed in Tariq Cohen last night. I mean, he was driving me crazy rather than just trying to get the 1 or 2 or 3 tough yards. Just the starting and stopping and trying to reverse his field. And this isn't Madden, and this isn't North Carolina A&T. Yes, he did that against Atlanta, and you will have another opportunity to do that. But last night he was just doing it way too much. I think maybe the moment got a little bit too big for Tariq, and he was thinking, I'm on Monday Night Football, and I'm going to make a big play. I'm going to try to make something out of nothing. And I think that kind of took him out of his game. And that portion of it, other than the dropped passes, was just something that really stuck out to me. And you saw it even filter over to the special teams play with a guy like Deontay Thompson on his returns. There was no, they didn't have their mind made up that they were just going to go and they were going to get yards. I mean, Deontay Thompson caught a couple of balls on special teams, and he stopped like right in the middle of the field, and then he was trying to make his move, and he ended up getting tackled, the same type of deal that Tariq Cohen was doing. But some of the good, I think we all were holding our breath and our butts puckered up a little bit when we saw Kyle Long go down, and I said, geez, you see that on the replay, and I think every one of us feared the worst. I said, to see him really bounce right back up and get back out there, that was a huge plus for us, because I said, I think if you lose a guy like Kyle Long, you lose a little bit of that momentum, bringing in, Mitch Trubisky, some of that momentum that we built with him. But I can't, Tariq Cohen, like I said, the player side really disappointed me, but I just can't get away from this coaching staff, and it's probably a good time to transition to that, Phil. And I think we all know where this is going with our head coach. To me, this is enemy number one, and it's not even on my list of negatives with the Chicago Bears. Enemy number one, it's not even close with John Fox. And as excited as I was to see Trubisky's debut last night, it's just equally disappointing realizing that John Fox is our head coach. And you talk about wanting to see Mitch Trubisky take that next step and not make mistakes that he made from the previous game before. Well, we're in year 3 with John Fox, and we're seeing these mental gaps game after game after game, and it's series after series after series at this point, and none of it is improving. And that's right now, that's my number one negative issue with this entire franchise, is the head coach.
Phil, I know you feel differently about this coaching system. I mean, these coaches, you actually love these coaches, so why don't you go ahead
Yeah, right.
why don't you go ahead and present your point of view on why this coaching staff should be held for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
I think Shayne is being too kind. Enemy. This guy is a lost cause. The snafu at midfield, I mean,
Oof.
the timeout, coming out of a timeout without an idea of exactly what you're doing in a critical moment where you're deciding thereafter. Listen, you don't put $20 in a freaking, what do you call those things? God.
Hooker?
Garter belt?
You don't put $20 in a
G-string?
slot machine. You don't put $20 in a slot machine and decide not to pull the slot machine's arm down. You've decided that you're going to go for it. You go for it. You don't spend that kind of ammunition otherwise. And for just the coaching, high school level coaches make that kind of error and they could be fired. I'm watching the Chicago freaking Bears do it. I mean, to me, that using all your timeouts, the non-challenging, the laughing on the sideline with the Viking football player when that fourth down conversion ends up, and he had a wide open, easy first down. If you watch it, they ran a dash play to the left. Freaking inside guy is going to come wide open. It's going to be easy first down. It's another missed opportunity by coaching. Again, John Fox is absolutely lost out there. And Shayne hit it on the head when he's saying it happens time and time and time again. This guy's won 10 games out of 25. He's 10-25 rather. He's won 5 games at Soldier Field. I mean, I don't know how you can sell this new face of the franchise with this old man. I don't know what I dislike more, the Soldier Field sod or Coach Fox's voice when he comes on stammering and stuttering and
Hey, Phil, you can't play football without a ball, right? That's why.
I don't know. I just saw the excuses going up. Everything's transpiring to the level of inadequacy. You can't have this on the professional level. It's embarrassing, Aldo. And then we haven't even gotten to the offensive coordinator. I mean, to me, some people I respect think Dowell called a good game. For me, I saw a guy playing a game of checkers when you should be playing chess. And he needs to be understanding where he is on the football field. And don't forget the best football player on your team, possibly, and Jordan Howard. I mean, if this guy has to continue to prove himself, I don't know what we're doing. Like, everything should facilitate through him. You saw on the first drive, guys, I put up Trubisky's first play. He comes back the second play. He's running with Tariq Cohen. Then he's meshing, and then he hits the slot.
Yeah.
Then Jordan Howard comes back in, and he runs for 15. Now you're at the Minnesota Viking 35-yard line in this young man's first NFL drive. And guess where Jordan Howard is now? After he ran 15 yards, he's pulled onto the sideline. Cohen comes in. They throw an incompletion to Deion Sims right in his face. I mean, you can't drop it. You're throwing again. You took your bread and butter out. Now second down, it's a toss play to Tariq Cohen, which does what Shayne said, starts dancing, gets stopped for maybe a half yard. Now it's third down, and guess who's in the ballgame? Cunningham on a third down play. I don't have any words for that, guys. All I think of is stupidity. There's no plan. There's no... Do you think the Dallas Cowboys are going to take Zeke out of the game when you're driving down the foot? It's a sin, to be honest. It's so fucking frustrating to watch this offensive coordinator handle the football game and down and distance. 3rd and 3. Guess what they're running? A 2-yard fucking out that's covered. Run the ball twice. You're at midfield. If I'm coaching this team with you three, fucking hire Lauren Cox to study tape and Jose Cotto, we fucking can win. That's how poor this staff is. And that's no disrespect to anybody. It's just so asinine watching this coaching staff handle simple things in the game. Now, everyone's, but that play design for the 2-point conversion, are you mad now? Yeah, I'm mad because you shouldn't even have had to been in that. Now, we didn't talk about the officials. I mentioned it a little bit. They played a huge role in this, but Dowell Loggins, understanding personnel, he's a lost cause. He's not a good offensive coordinator. This is year 3, guys. This isn't year 1, okay? This is year 3. And you're making these kind of errors, it ain't getting fixed with this staff. It ain't going to work. He abandons the running game. He is an awful, awful play caller who has no fucking feel for a football game that needs to be maniacal in getting first downs and continuing drives, especially with a young signal caller. Make this not complicated. Make it play to your talent. This kid can move, Shayne. We talked about the difference between Glennon and Trubisky. How about running some of that read option and force those fucking defensive ends to think and not just be pass rushers and disruptors of the zone play? How about make them be aware of Mitchell and help your whole football team? Because his presence did that. Imagine if you actually threatened them and the only time you did something creative was on a 2-point play. That shouldn't even have to be that. I mean, for me, I can't say enough negatives about Dowell. He's awful. John Fox, FireFox, get this shit over with for now because it is not going to get better. And anyone telling you differently is absolutely fooling themselves. They're not even fooling you because you're smarter.
Keeping it 100.
That's right.
You know, the one thing that's pretty funny is when you, after the fact, we're looking back at this and we're talking about that interception that Mitch threw on first down. Dowell Loggins really put, like you said, Bucky Brooks mentioned, maybe, don't put your quarterback in that position. But obviously Dowell did put him in that position and had enough faith in him to make that play. But yet, you rewind the game back into the first and second quarters. Mm-hmm. He's not putting any faith in him on these third down, or even, just take the third down plays even right out of it, Phil. The second down plays last night were the killers because they were all negative plays. And it
second and 1, Shayne. We talked about me and Aldo. I go, here's your shot. He has no feel. Guess what he ran? A dive play to Jordan Howard for 1.5 and a first down. Yay!
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. But...
Oh no, that's fine. It's just you're absolutely right. There's no rhyme or reason to, there's no. The only pattern to this is a pattern of ineptness at this
exactly.
point. And that's the sad part. It's literally all over the map. It's if you want to protect your guy, in the 2-minute drill a little bit, and your best offensive weapon at this point, Jordan Howard, like you said, want to get him more involved, do it. But then if you're doing it then, why aren't you doing that in the first and second quarters? I mean, with the field position that we had repeatedly.
Oh my God, Shayne. Yep.
This game is over. It's over. And it's not. I'm not just gonna string up Dowell for that, because we can get into the Trey McBride OPI call and all that. I mean, it just seemed like when you thought you were stacking finally a good play together, Boger was, his crew was throwing a flag, and it was just
guys. Shayne, did it feel like to you the flag was waiting every time there was a Bears big play?
Oh, you go back to that, I think, what was it, 42-yard touchdown run that Jordan Howard had, and they called Marcus Wheaton for the hold. I wasn't even excited, because all I could fucking hear was Aldo's talking about this motherfucker loves to throw the flag from the shows. Literally, I'm sitting here and I could totally hear Aldo in my head.
I know.
And you just knew it was coming out. And the Trey McBride, you like, all right, this guy, maybe he's going to have a little bust out game, but any little bit of momentum was, I mean, you thought they were going to catch fire a little bit, and Boger was there to throw water on it. And it was just so, when you're combining that with Dowell Loggins, it's a recipe for disaster, because let's be honest, yes, the Bears did catch a break with having a quarterback in there early in Sam Bradford that clearly wasn't healthy and clearly was a detriment to the team. But the Minnesota Vikings are I'm not a believer in the Minnesota Vikings. I've told you guys this. I consider them a fake contender. Yes, they do have some fabulous players, but I'm not a big believer that they're gonna be a team that can ever make a run in the playoffs with a Sam Bradford. I'm just not a Bradford fan. But it's just, you get a team like that down on national TV, and you heard Trubisky refer to it. You get that momentum. You want to put your foot on the pedal and just keep going. And the wheels would just start to roll a little bit, and you had to put the brake on because there was a penalty, or there's a false start, or any number of things, and it's just that culmination, and it's just hard to get anything going.
Shayne,
Yeah,
your beer mug is so.
She's thinking about it.
The offensive pass interference was a horrific call, and if it was called consistently, then it would have been okay. But when you have Rudolph pushing off clearly and getting separation to be open like he was, and then you turn around and you got Floyd doing the same goddamn thing, extending their arms way, way more obvious than a Trey McBride, then questions have to come into play. And then I watch Cody Whitehair's holding on a dash protection or slide protection. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He lets go of the guy. There was no jersey hold there. That was completely looked for. That was completely throwing a flag after seeing a completion to McBride downfield, as Shayne said, totally taking away an opportunity to get at least 3 points, because that's down to the 18, I believe, to McBride, who made a great catch on it. And Trubisky, I mean, that ball's another freaking dime ball again. And then the offensive pass interference. Some people are like, he should have caught it. I mean, Trey Waynes made a great defensive play getting his arm in there, but there could have been either way, if you're going to call that. Could have been interference. But I thought it was going to be a defensive pass interference when I saw it. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. And then the suspicions start to rise. And Wheaton, I mean, that is textbook stalk blocking. There is no hold. That, to me, was a complete and utter travesty. I said it. I tweeted it out. We talked about it with Aldo. There seemed to be a very suspicious odor in the air, not coming only from John Fox and Dowell Loggins, but this horrific officiating crew. And like Shayne said, all I could think of was Gandia talking about booger, throwing flags, and having the commentary about Mike Zimmer taking a zinger at the Bears, talking about their receivers holding beforehand. So this veteran coach is putting this refereeing crew on an island or whatever, and they're getting all the calls on your home field.
Well,
I mean,
to be fair, the Vikings
it was disgusting.
The Vikings were penalized more than the Bears. They had 9 and the Bears had 8, but you guys are absolutely right. It seemed like every penalty against the Bears was a big play. And that was incredibly frustrating. Back to the delay of game penalty. This is what John Fox said happened on that play.
Again, I don't know how much I can say about officiating, but there wasn't a ball out there, so it's kind of hard to play without a ball.
On the fourth down there.
That was the play I'm talking about.
Yeah. Did you bring the punt team out and then decide not to at some point, or how did that?
Yeah, I think, again, trying to keep them off guard. It was fourth, probably really 2, not 1. But at the end of it all, we got the delay because there was no ball there.
Bullshit.
Fucking liar.
He is a fucking
I mean,
liar.
his own core. I don't know if you have the audio of Trubisky talking about it, Aldo, but Trubisky essentially just said the opposite of what John Fox did.
He did.
He said we have to. Yeah, he said we got to be better. As an entire team, getting the call in. He said I was standing on the sideline, kind of expecting us to go for it because that's what we should have. That's what we should have did, and it's almost like Fox is saying, all right, we're going to throw our punt team out there because this is going to make, Minnesota take a timeout, or it's going to screw them up. Listen, go in there and hand the fucking ball off to, like Phil said, hand it off to Jordan Howard or roll Trubisky out and give him an option that way. It's just.
This is what Trubisky said after the game on that play.
I was assuming we were going for it because that's what it seemed like we were doing, and then I was just waiting for a call on the headset, and there seemed to be confusion on the sidelines. So I don't know exactly what happened, but we just need to be better in our whole operation, better at the line of scrimmage, better getting in and out of huddles, really pushing the tempo. And, I mean, those are simple things we could work on in practice, and that's what we need to do. So those kind of things can't be happening. And I don't think you can point a finger at any one person. I think everyone should just take ownership as far as coaches, players. That's simple things that we should be on top of. So we'll improve that this week for sure.
Definitely doesn't jive with what John Fox said. Shayne, you were about to say that this is emblematic of what the Bears have done this throughout the John Fox campaign.
The Bears are overthinking little things like this, and it creates such a huge issue where there doesn't need to be one. And to me, that play right there summed up John Fox in Chicago. And I've known high school coaches in these big-time high school football schools that have been fired for letting something like that happen. And this is the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen it happen at the high school level. And we're talking about the NFL. And, of course, it has to be on national television with this football team week after week where you see these monumental gaffes from the coaching staff and from players. And it's just, until they're gone, guys, I think it's just going to be more of the same, unfortunately.
What the fuck was that?
Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Oh, Maron. I think me and Shayne are speaking in chorus. I thought I said the same shit earlier about the height. It's like it's Groundhog Day with this coach.
What are you looking for? Who is your perfect guy?
He's kind, sensitive, and gentle. He's not afraid to cry in front of me.
This is a man we're talking about, right?
Bill Murray is a much better actor than John Fox is lying to you. I don't know how to even comprehend the embarrassment I would have as a head football coach on national television. Now, errors are going to happen, but on fourth down after a timeout, you're trying to play Who Goose the Moose and trick them and somehow run out there at the last second and run a play. To me, exactly what Shayne says. You're trying to be the smartest man in the room, and you're not even in the area code of Shane Marsaw, Coach Fox. It's ridiculous that this guy lied, because it should be completely taking ownership of that. The same thing you saw in Mike Glennon lying and really pissing down his leg. Your coaching staff did that, and they've done that. And since Shayne, statistics, since they won that big game against Green Bay on Thanksgiving Eve, how many have they won since?
I think it's 5 games since November of 2015. I think they've won 5 games.
Can you even put that into perspective, how horrific that is? It's disgusting on every level. And Ryan Pace and Ted Phillip and all of them sitting up there smiling like the Three Stooges. We have issues, and really they're bigger than any wide receiver, defensive back, or quarterback or backup quarterback that we've ever seen. And it's this regime and all of them. All of them, to me, are a problem right now, including Ryan Pace.
Sorry, fellas.
Hold on. Canada's on the phone?
Maybe. Oh, you know what? This call's from Hallis Hall. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Any questions?
It's John Fox. He wants to know if we have any questions. Yeah, I got one, John. Why are you such a fucking idiot?
Well, I think it's...
You dumbass. Shayne, you got any questions for him?
Oh, yes. Can I help you pack?
Well, I think it's...
Phil, I know you got a question for Fox.
Coach, why wasn't there an open competition in training camp at the quarterback position? It's pretty clear that the young kid has a lot of talent versus Mike Glennon. Why wasn't there an open competition?
Well, I think it's...
You are so fucking dumb, John Fox. Get out of town. I'm announcing this now. This is the week we officially begin our #FireFox campaign. We're going to have special movies up over the next several weeks that illustrate how terrible this guy is as a head coach. There's going to be movies that'll make you laugh about how terrible this guy is as a head coach. We want him out of town, and we would love to see it happen during the bye week. Put in an interim coach. I don't give a shit who it is. It could be Donald Trump. No, not Donald Trump. You know what? I'll start another campaign. #PhilAtoshin, Draft Dr. Phil for coach. Have him in there as the interim coach because we'll be so much better off.
Shit, I'll take the salary. I got a few guys I'd like to hire.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's that time of the show where you lay back, put your feet up, and you get prepared and scared because you may be a victim of the smartest man's dumbest tweets of the week.
Very well done. You may be a victim. I like that.
We got to record these because I always just do them off the top of my head.
That's what's so much fun about them. we don't know if it's going to be a complete disaster or you're going to hit one out of the park.
It's like a Donald Loggins play call. You never know. Is he gonna...
What you got, Shayne?
Well, we're going to kick off these bad tweets of the week with one from Galentine Loveless. I believe, Aldo, you referred to this guy as Vanilla Ice in reply to him.
I remember him.
He decided to tweet out the other day talking about how Chicago mortgaged 2 drafts just to get Mitch Trubisky, and he's just going to end up throwing 2 interceptions and have 2 delay of games while they lose to the Minnesota Vikings. And I see shit like that, and it drives me insane and you still see that. I mean, you saw ESPN refer to it. Susie Colbert was talking about how, the draft day trade when Ryan Pace moved up the 1 spot and the Chicago Bears paid a steep price to move up. Yes, it was only 1 spot, but they secured their guy. They left nothing to chance, and they gave up a 3rd and a 4th in 2017 and a 3rd rounder in 2018. So it drives me crazy when I still see this narrative out there that the Chicago Bears have, mortgaged their future to secure a franchise quarterback. And we all know, obviously, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. And if you hit on him, it doesn't matter what you gave up. But in this draft, if you were securing the guy that you completely believe in for 2/3 and a 4th rounder, I don't call that mortgaging your future. I call that being smart. You see what Houston did to move up to secure their guy. You saw what Kansas City did to move up to secure their guy. They gave up a lot more than Chicago did. Granted, they did move a lot. They were down lower in the draft and moved up a lot higher, but still, this mortgaging the future thing narrative just needs to stop. And I see this more and more with people when they're referring to Trubisky and how the Bears got him, and we still see it with ESPN, with NFL Network, and if Mitch goes out and has a real rough game and throws a couple of picks, I'm sure we're going to see it again. And I'd like to put a stop to it now, because every time I see that, it aggravates me more and more.
So what's Vanilla Ice's name again?
His name is, just a second, my Galentine Loveless, and that's at Dope Sick Diaries.
Dope Sick Diaries.
Absolutely, and Aldo, you did put it perfectly when you referred to him as Vanilla Ice, because it is a dead ringer.
He really is. He really is. I would like to invite this guy on the show. If you're listening to the show, come on and start to explain these dumb tweets, because I'm sure that's not the first one that you've ever sent out.
You heard the first. Now we go to the top stupidest tweet of the week with our man, the smartest man in the room, Shayne Marsaw. Protect yourself, or you might riggedy wreck yourself on Twitter with the mailman.
Perfect.
Very, very good.
Coming off with these right off the top of your head, Phil. I got to give you some love there,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I learned on the scout team. I've been on there for a few weeks and polishing my skills. Free Mike Lennon.
The stupidest tweet of the week, and I gotta give a little shout out to my little prison bitch down there in Florida, Dustin.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
He actually brought this to my attention a couple of hours before we went hot here tonight, and sent me a screenshot of a tweet that unfortunately Aldo already knows a little bit about this, because we have something we're gonna kind of play off this a little bit, but at Fox Sports Radio, they have an analyst at Ben Mahler was talking about Mitch Trubisky's debut, and he had this to say: "In overwhelmed, Mitchell Trubisky earned an F+ grade in his first ever NFL start." And his quote was, "There was no rhythm, there was no flow, and there was no tempo. You might as well have kept Mike Glennon under center." Those were Ben Mahler's words about Mitchell Trubisky's debut last night. And Aldo, if you are ready, I think we might have a little bit of audio of Mr. Mahler.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and I would like to thank Dustin, because Dustin is a
stepping up,
motherfucker, man. I mean, if he ever really gets into a prison jail cell, I know this guy is not going to give it up. No way. Here's Ben's soundbite from him. I guess he's got a radio show. Someone's actually paying him for this opinion. Here it is.
The debut of Mitchell Trubisky. Right? North Carolina, didn't play much in college. So what grade would you give Mitchell Trubisky in his first start? Now, I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone, because there was a lot of slobbering going on of Trubisky on the broadcast. That's to be expected. That's what John Gruden does. He gets on his knees and he slobbers all over quarterbacks. He's been doing it his entire career. So that I get. And then a lot of the NFL pundits also are all over giving shoulder rubs to Mitchell Trubisky. Am I missing something? One thing I'm always is fair. I am always fair with these quarterbacks when they make their debut. And after careful thought and research, as a teacher, as a guidance counselor to NFL quarterbacks, the grade I give Mitchell Trubisky is an F+. I give him not an F-. I'm going to give him an F+.
You're a fucking idiot.
This guy is a guidance counselor who coaches soccer, his son's soccer team on Sunday.
Stop it. Get some help.
He puts his fantasy roster in, puts a little Kahlua in his coffee, and really, that's who this asshole is, because to say that and never in your life understand what it is to play that position and to use the 13 games moniker and then turn around and isolate on a narrative when John Gruden has also ripped to shreds quarterbacks, including Sam Bradford, recognizing he was pathetic. He actually called the Chicago Bears offense boring as hell last night. So that narrative doesn't fly. The tape does not lie. It never does. We can put it up there, and I think we really broke it down. I mean, what a freaking asshole of a person to really think that you're assessing some sort of quarterback play as more of a skit for your show, to try, again, as we've talked about before, that we stand against the narrative and the lies to supersede some sort of ill feelings towards somebody. To me, that was pathetic. It's another showcase that Dustin is moving up the brackets of the barflies, because he's giving you some great audio between Deion Sanders. You know, by the way, if that guy was a Hall of Famer, we'd have to listen to him, because that's important, because they know. In the window, they know, and in the door. From the window to the wall, to the sweat drops down my balls, a Hall of Famer always knows. And I'm being completely sarcastic when I say that, because that kind of hot take talking about F++. You're just a showcase character, used car salesman. Thank you. No, thank you.
You know, Phil, the one thing, just to expand on that audio a little bit, at the end of the segment, Mahler talks about, he goes, you know, one of the couple of the positives that you always hear about with Mitchell Trubisky is his mobility and his accuracy. And he said, we saw neither of those really show up last night. He goes, he finishes
outed
12
himself.
He finishes 12 for 25, so the accuracy wasn't there, and the mobility wasn't all wasn't all that great either.
The stat scout Aldo.
Yes.
He just outed himself.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gay. He's really cute. Oh my God. What a tool bag. Oh yeah. You've done heard it. You've heard from the Hall of Famers, the Hall of Shamers. Now you gotta hear it from the man known as the smartest of them all. The best tweet of the week coming at you live from Shayne Marceau.
Yeah, it was actually kind of hard to find just one, so got to give a shout out to my boy Jeremy Irons here. He's got about 40 fantastic tweets. No, just a little inside joke there, but no, the best tweet of the week, it's not anything fantastic, but at Patrick A. Schmidt sent out a text last night after the game, and it just, I want to see Bears fans kind of keep everything in perspective when it comes to Trubisky. We're all seeing the tweets out there saying that the Bears should have taken Deshaun Watson, or they should have taken this player or whatever. And yes, Deshaun Watson has flashed, and like Phil said, some of the things that he's done has just been ridiculous, and it's hard to even comprehend. But at Patrick A. Schmidt sent out a text, and yes, it's dealing with stats, which we don't really like to do, but it kind of shows you just because you may not put up great stats, in your debut game. He sent out a tweet saying Trubisky was 12 of 25 for 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 sack, and 1 fumble lost. Well, in Deshaun Watson's debut, he was 12 for 23, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, got sacked 4 times, and had 1 fumble lost. So just want Bears fans to kind of look at that. And I'm not saying that, all of this is relative, and we realize that Deshaun Watson has some more weapons at his disposal on offense, but it's not about stats at this point. You want to see things translate over to the field. We've seen that so far, and what we want to see next in Baltimore is we want to see Mitch just take that next step, keep those traits that we all know and love him to have. We want to see those shine again, and we want to see him, if he's put in that same type of position, rolling out on a first down to not, shoot himself in the foot by making a poor pass. It's gonna, shoot your chances of moving down the field and maybe even potentially winning the game. So I think putting some stats out there, just showing you that he's kind of, he's not the same player as Deshaun Watson, or Deshaun Watson is not the same player as Mitchell Trubisky. The stats were the same, but this is just one game in a long process, and we just want to see him stack these games together. And to go back to Ben Mahler, it's not about stats. I know these guys are going to be referred to for the next 10, 12, 15 years with these first-round quarterbacks being compared to each other, but every situation is different. And yes, he didn't put up the great stats last night, but I myself was pretty happy with what I saw overall from Mitch Trubisky, and I expect to see a much better Mitch Trubisky this weekend in Baltimore.
And guys, keep sending the stuff to us.
Absolutely.
Shayne, send it to me. Keep sending the audio clips. That's how we keep rolling here, and we appreciate you doing it. And shout out to Dustin again.
Patrick A. Schmidt, tweet of the week.
Pat A. Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is mine. Just see my mom singing that to me as a kid. I just had a flashback.
Phil, are you on some sort of medication tonight?
I think so.
Coming up with some strange shit, brother.
Wasn't as good as my Fantasy Island impression last week. I did do a poll, Aldo, today for Bears Barroom.
Oh, let's talk about
with
the poll.
the narrative of the wide receiver talent in Chicago, and I'm all about second chances. I pinned it up. I was asking for the show, would you be willing, if you were the GM, to take a chance on Josh Gordon, given his past history with that wacky tobacco? The numbers came in, 409 votes came in, and some write-in votes that came after. 83% say yes, they want to give Josh Gordon a second chance. So I thought that was interesting. So way more than half of the fan base would be happy to see Josh Gordon in there. I just want to pick your two brains before we go into Bear Up, Bear Down. Aldo, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, I think that everybody deserves another chance, and I know that he's already been given a chance and didn't fulfill his obligations, which is why he's currently under suspension. But the fact of the matter is that he has been in rehab. He's been going through a program. He's still in one now. He's the subject of a documentary done by the Intercept.com, I believe, and in that documentary, he shows remorse. He says some things that shine a different light on his life experiences. He talks about how he has been enabled to continue on with this behavior since he was in high school because of his football talents. He had coaches and teachers really kind of look the other way and help him get out of trouble and so forth. And that kind of grooming is something that he carried into the pros. He unfortunately wasn't smart enough or strong enough or didn't have the ability to overcome this disease that he has, because alcoholism and drug abuse is a disease. He didn't have the wherewithal to overcome it on his own, and even after some help. But if he checks out after this current rehab assignment and he gets a passing grade from the counselors who are working with him, I then wouldn't have any problem giving him a chance here with the Chicago Bears based on what I heard him say on that documentary. And, listening to a guy talk about his problems, it always presents the other side of the issue that we sometimes are not privy to. So I say, yeah, give him a chance if his counselors say that he's ready to go.
Yeah, I would say you love the talent with this kid, and he really burst on the scene his first couple of years. He hasn't taken a snap since 2014. So if he's coming back and you're going to give him a chance in Chicago, it's really
Mike
not
Glennon?
really not a second chance at really not a second chance at this point. I mean, he's had more than two, but I do agree with Aldo. I haven't seen the documentary, and
yeah, I gotta see that documentary.
A lot of things play into it. Is he showing remorse because he really fucked his life up and he wants that NFL paycheck again? And all these factors come into play, and guys, at the end of the day, even if I don't see ownership giving clearance to bring in a wild card like that. And
Well, let me ask you. I want to pause you there because this is right in the danger zone of where I feel ownership has let this franchise down. Why? Why are you ignoring talent? Because politics? Because of outside opinion? That's okay. I thought winning was the most important thing.
Well, I think it is, Phil, but at this point, this isn't, if you're talking about talent, we're not talking about Josh Gordon from 2013. This is 2017. The guy hasn't taken a snap since 2014. So I don't think we can sit here and act or expect if he is signed to a contract. And I'm not trying to bash Bears fans. I think a lot of that is, with the poll, and I told you that earlier, I think a lot of that is fandom. They see that wide receiver is a glaring need on this team, and they kind of expect, Josh Gordon, we look back here, look at his stats. His first 2 years are fabulous, so he's going to bring that here. There's so many moving parts to this. I mean, how many players in the history of the NFL have sat out and not taken a snap for 3 years and came back and been effective? And to me, this is more about Josh Gordon, the person, than it is Josh Gordon, the NFL player, or the Josh Gordon, the 26-year-old kid that has a bunch or had a bunch of talent or maybe still has a bunch of talent. You want to see this kid get straight just to be a good person in life, because at the end of the day, that's the most important part. And when we were talking about this earlier, I look back at a guy like Ryan Leaf. You see, and again, there was that little, I think they did a 30 for 30 on him or something, one of those shows like that. And Aldo brought it up, talking about these kids that are superior athletes that are essentially enabled.
Manziel.
Yeah, from the age of 12 all the way on up through, and you saw, I mean, has anybody crashed and burned as big as Ryan Leaf has? And you got to give this kid, you got to give Ryan Leaf credit for really going down to ground zero and rising up out of the ashes and getting his life straight. He's a motivational speaker now, and he does radio spots and some TV work, and maybe that's the next step for Josh Gordon, so he can get his thoughts and his life stories out there for the next Josh Gordon to not fuck everything up. So maybe that's the best thing for him. But I just want to let Bears fans and football fans know that just because you sign this kid doesn't mean anything. You want to talk about Kevin White having to not be in the plans for the Chicago Bears. I would look at Josh Gordon as the same type of signing. Yes, maybe the talent is there, but he's nobody that you can count on, because it's not, this kid's one more strike away from banishment forever at this point. So, and he applied for reinstatement back in April, and he was denied that request in May of 2017. So the NFL is going to look into this, obviously, and there's obviously some things there that they weren't happy with for him to be denied that reinstatement just a few months ago. So I think there's probably still a lot of issues there. And to me, I'm more concerned about Josh Gordon, the person, than I am Josh Gordon, the football player.
Oh, it's a great point, Shayne. And at this point, I'm willing to take Tanner Gentry and put him on the roster.
No reason he's not active. I totally agree.
I think when you run this situation, you break it down and you look at this, and the tape doesn't lie, Aldo. I just don't understand the reasoning and the rationale of Josh Bellamy. We talked about a little bit about John Fox, but one point we didn't talk about is coaching accountability and how there's teachers' pets and really ultimately picking favorites when performance is the ultimate measuring stick. It should not even be an option that Tanner Gentry is not on the 53-man roster. You want to pick one of those guys, I'll give you three. McManus, Bellamy, or Thompson should be gone. And Tanner Gentry should be on this roster. I think that is a travesty in personnel.
I hear you. And you want to know a little nugget if you're talking about coaching favorites, Phil. The Bears wide receivers coach, his name is Zach Azzani. He's bounced around in college and to different schools, but in 2010, he was the wide receiver coach at the University of Florida. And his number one wide receiver that year was Deontay Thompson.
Wow. That's right.
Yep. So
that's right.
Let's not overlook little things like that, because it absolutely factors in.
We saw it happen in Carolina with Mitch Trubisky and the quarterback situation.
Absolutely.
It happens a lot, and it's unfortunate because fans just say, well, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he playing?
Yeah.
He's so good. Why isn't he playing? Well, they're picking favorites, and unfortunately the team suffers from that. And that, to me, especially when I look at Tanner Gentry, what he can do on the outside in comparison to what you paid Wheaton. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about these huge signings, Sims, Wheaton, and Glennon. That is 3 strikes and you're out with that class of free agents, because the pro personnel guy, I don't know. If Wheaton, hopefully, Sims had a bad night. And I don't.
You're being nice.
Get into that now. What's that?
You're being nice when you say he had a bad night.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He had that.
That's exactly right.
He had that one little catch there, and then he had some run after the catch where he kind of surprised me a little bit. But that was really the only positive that we saw from him at all. But no, you absolutely hit on it, Phil, with playing favorites, and you have a defensive-minded head coach like John Fox, and I think at the end of the day, he's probably more inclined to let his offensive coaches kind of run the show on the offensive side of the ball. So, you have a guy like Zach Azzani that's trying to make his mark in the NFL. He's going to go with guys that he knows and guys that he's comfortable with. And at this point, you see Deontay Thompson gobbling up all of these snaps, and you have a guy.
First play from scrimmage. Yep. Guess who was your starting wide receiver? Over Wheaton? It's Deontay Thompson. 3 tight ends, 1 receiver, Deontay Thompson.
Deontay Thompson, 0 receptions for 0 yards. And he's
0.0. He's your starter. Him and Wheaton making him. We thought we witnessed history together, Aldo. We thought we had Wheaton's first catch of his. How much did he get paid here?
I don't want to even look.
$6 million guaranteed.
No.
Yeah, $6 million. I think he gets $6 million guaranteed over 2 years. So I think he's easily moved off of after this year, and it's the same. They're really the only guy that Glennon is easily moved off of, and Deion Sims, I believe, got a decent deal that you're not going to move off of probably in 2018, but still, Marcus Wheaton has been non-existent. You're talking heading into week 6 here, and he's still kind of over on the reception.
You see the effort on that slant route when he just puts his arm up because he's expecting to get hit.
Terrible.
Wow, it's bad.
Okay, it's time.
Yeah.
We've got this special segment in the show where I introduce it with my own rap. This is dedicated to my muse up in Canada. Oh yeah.
I love this beat.
Oh my God. It's that segment we all applaud. Oh, oh, oh my God. Listen to the smartest man blow his wad. Oh, oh, oh my God. Draft Dr. Phil leaves us all in awe. Oh, oh, oh my God. Who is really good and who's a fraud?
Lemming.
No more time to fuck around. It's bear up, bear down.
Yeah.
Oh, make it stop, Phil. Start talking.
He's the godfather of rap. He's the godfather of rap.
All right, who goes first this week?
It's my turn this week.
All right. Are you
oh
going,
my God! Oh my
up or
God!
down?
Here I go again with the ups and the downs and. What are we going first there, Coach Gandhi? Are we going up or are we going down?
I think we should always end on an upbeat, so let's start with our bear down.
My bear down of the week, honestly, is a tough one. But I kind of gave a spoiler in a game where people needed to rise. Rise like Aldo asked you. Put your arms out and fly that T, because it was Trubisky now time. Those players that had 11 days to prepare and go out there and perform totally let Mr. T, the new Mr. T in Chicago. How about that?
I love it.
Just came to my head. Just came. You're witnessing a greatness, Shayne.
Genius at work.
My wife just shook her head. There's a new Mr. T, and he pities the fools.
Motherfucker.
Wait a minute. Don't bring anyone mother into this. She ain't here. If it wasn't for your mother, you wouldn't be here.
But I gotta say, my bear down is a guy that I expected more from. It's Deion Sims. I thought what a good blocker this kid is, and I really expected him to take that next step. We saw signs. I talked about him being a better than good athlete, and we saw a little bit of that in the Steeler game, and he showed glimpses, so I was expecting him really with a quarterback as accurate as Mitchell to take a step forward, and he had 2 drops that were bad drops. Those are accurate balls. And then there was a couple run plays where he's the designated kick out, and he's just pushing and just really, I would embarrass him on the film board in front of his teammates for his effort on those blocking plays, and Jordan Howard and Cohen getting swallowed up because he didn't do his job. So my bear down this week is Deion Sims.
That's an angry mob, Deion. You better get your shit together.
The fool.
You better get your shit together, Deion, or we're going to let him loose and come after you. All right, Shayne, who do you got as your bear down?
Well, surprisingly enough, Phil didn't steal my guy this week. So I had 2 guys at the top of my list, and I referred to one of them earlier with Tariq Cohen, so I won't repeat that. But I'm going to...
Tariq was number 2 on my list, too, Shayne. We're thinking alike.
I'm going to send my bear down this week to Mr. Cody Whitehair. Yeah, he's an integral part of this offensive line, obviously, but I don't know if we're seeing a little bit of this sophomore slump. I know there's been a lot of people out there saying that, flip-flopping him, and he's played left guard and center and right guard so far this year, but to me, yes, that is an issue, but to me that shouldn't have any effect on your snaps, and we're just seeing more and more of these snaps that are in. We saw one last night on a crucial third down. It just threw off the entire timing of the play, where he sent a bad snap to Trubisky, and it just, I don't know if it's a mental thing at this point or if it's a technique issue. I'm not real sure, but clearly he was our best offensive lineman last year, and not saying that he's not holding up his end of the bargain as an offensive lineman, but when you're a center, such that, you know, that crucial position, you're touching the ball every snap just like the quarterback is, and it's a game of inches. It's a game of milliseconds, and these multiple bad snaps per game, just it throws a monkey wrench into the whole production. I mean, we even saw him have a high snap to a 6'7" quarterback when Glennon was in there, and thank God, you know, Trubisky is athletic enough. He noticed it, and he got to the ball quick enough, but we couldn't convert that third down. But Cody Whitehair, we need you to step up so we can, start stacking together some of these wins and build some cohesion on this line. So you are my week number 5 bear down of the week. Boo.
Boo. Angry mom. There it is.
I didn't want a ton of boos for Cody because I still believe in him after that outstanding rookie season. Everyone that was booing there, clearly they were reluctant to boo, which is why it took them 5 seconds to get going.
But his fantastic rookie year is what makes it so disappointing this year. You know, really. For sure.
Well, I was gonna say, and you kind of touched on it. I do think the moving him around and doing that and comfort level does play, but I think there is a mental issue, Shayne, and it's coached out of the guy, because that should not be happening consistently in games. So I'm totally on board with this bear down.
Yeah, and the offensive line as a whole did not play well. Bobby Massey had another terrible game. I think I would list 2 games for him this year as being terrible or at least bad. And then Charles Leno Jr. didn't have a terrible game, but he was responsible for that strip fumble that was it was a turning point in the game. So the offensive line, while I still have faith that they're going to have some really good games ahead, they got to get it going here. We still have an outside chance of the playoffs. I know people are saying, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Playoffs. Playoffs. Yeah, I know.
You got a better chance of moving to Canada, Aldo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bear up.
All the way up.
Higher than Aldo's love for Canada.
All right, brother. Take it away.
We're going to get this guy in trouble.
So who's your bear up?
Listen, this is a tough one for me because there's 3 candidates, and I'm hoping that Shayne is going to take one of them off the table. But for me, I can't overlook what a coach's son growing up knows, how hard the position that this young man was put in on the grand stage. Mitchell Trubisky, I thought, performed adequately. You can call it crazy, but when you put in the time and effort that this group of guys do, you know the statistics don't speak to what transpired on the football field. Not making excuses up, the pass at the end, obviously the kid took ownership of it. That just put the cherry on top for me. How he handled what would be his coming out party to the nation, and now he's got to face a narrative and put it to bed. So performance, Shayne always says this, and I agree with him, winning is the ultimate remedy to this bullshit you see the national media say. I thought Trubisky transferred everything you heard those narrators say to you. Well, it's against guys that are bagging groceries. It's again, and that whole conversation went null and void when he's going up against one of the top secondaries, if not the best secondary in the NFL, and pass rush. I mean, that is a good freaking defense out there, and he's taking it and ripping it, putting it on a dime over and over, and you're getting penalized, and it's taking away from the story. I mean, that was the biggest letdown, was the officiating, taking away from what transpired with ticky-tack bullshit. Really, ultimately stripped Mitchell Trubisky of what would have been a tremendous performance if you PFF, whatever they call this stat, Shayne, when they alleviate the penalties and they put the actual play in and they give you a sub score of what transpired. The statistics would have been tremendous, and ultimately the W would have been had, let's be honest. But in taking it all in and the pressure situation, I just can't overlook what we were so excited for, the Trubisky era beginning. I was very nervous about it, and I really felt like that kid really performed well. Ultimately, there was a bump in the road, and you're going to learn. It's the only way you learn is by making mistakes, and he took ownership of it. I'm going to tip my hat to that young man, Trubisky, Bear Up of the Week.
I got a boner!
Well done, Mitch. I agree with it wasn't a monumental performance, but everybody's got to remember what Peyton Manning did in his rookie year. 28 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. I think that when you line up all of the rookie quarterbacks' debut performances, this was definitely up in that upper top tier as opposed to the bottom tier, which some idiots are claiming that it is. Shayne, who do you got for your Bears Up?
Well, I heard Phil refer to it, and I think probably he helped me out a little bit here and made my job a little bit easier. I had Trubisky on my list. The other two guys that I was gonna pick from was Kyle Fuller and Akeem Hicks, and to me, clearly, you got to go with Akeem Hicks. You got to.
Yes, sir.
It's just
wow. Thank you, because that was my guy.
Yeah, you want to mention Ryan Pace, with the free agent signings that haven't worked out. Well, we can't overlook, one huge star that has worked out and really grabbing him. And you got to give Akeem Hicks a lot of credit too, taking a chance in Chicago when he could have turned right around and went back to New England and won a
Detroit.
Super Bowl. Yep, and won a Super Bowl. But this guy is he's really the epitome of what a Chicago Bear defensive player is at this point. To me, he's an absolute building block, and the Bears gave him that 4-year extension. And how could you be any happier with this guy? I said you saw, I think Adam Hogue referred to it on the one replay where you saw that Akeem Hicks was on second down. He was just totally gassed, and he asked out of the game, and then he waved him off, and he went out on third down, and he damn near got to the quarterback, but he didn't alter the throw. And things like that spread throughout a team. They see a guy that's tired and gasping for air, but as soon as he puts his hand back down in the ground, all that goes to the wayside, and he's going to do his job, and he's going to do it well. And Akeem Hicks, it just seems like week after week after week, he's making at least one or two big impact plays and making life easier for guys like Leonard Floyd to be able to get a couple of sacks last night. And it's just, I don't know, I can't really say enough about the guy at this point. 27 years old. We have him locked up long term, and major props to Akeem Hicks. Just
dominant.
Dominant. Absolutely, it's exactly what he is on this team, and somebody that I think is going to be, a force to be reckoned with for years to come on this Chicago Bears defensive line.
Akeem
Hicks, we love you, brother. Keep it going.
Just wanted to add one piece to that, to piggyback. The game's on the line, okay? It was second down, I believe. And
so
he
good. I know where you're going.
I'm going to put this play up because this is about a mental toughness and a student of the game combined with a physical animal. He just dominates the line of scrimmage, gets into the backfield, drops the running back for a huge loss. And if Boger and crew don't fucking fuck up their terrible, we didn't even get into this, holding call on Leonard Floyd on the defensive holding, totally taking let the game be played. Akeem Hicks' effort there goes unnoticed because of Boger and company, because that would have set up a long field goal and never know. Guy could miss it and the game goes in a different way. But Shayne, I couldn't overlook the dominance of this football player and the will to try to win there. We haven't seen that. I think he's feeding off Trubisky. I really believe that. And really can't say enough. I love the guy. Obviously put a film together for Bears Barroom, which he responded to and gave me a shout out, and the Barroom. So I just believe in this young man, and it was a great re-signing. And Shayne's right. You tip the hat to Ryan Pace for locking up that athlete at the defensive line. He's a pillar piece.
And you know what his most important play of the entire year was after the Green Bay game. He was the one that really spoke up for the players, and I think really
That's
got
a great point.
Really got the ball rolling with, he said, I think we really need to sit back and make the changes that need to be made. And then he did kind of cover his tracks a little bit, and he goes, that includes on the defensive side of the ball too. But yeah, I mean, everybody knew not the elephant, but the giraffe in the room that he was referring to. And, the media picked up on that, and everybody knew what he was referring to. But you got to give him a little bit of a shout out there.
Can we get a smartest man in the room sound drop?
Oh, man. Absolutely.
How did you miss that, Gandhi?
I'm sorry.
The Godfather.
Very well done. Don't stop now, guys.
Sometimes he just takes it to another level, and he points out the little things that people miss. That's why we call him the smartest man in the bar room, Shayne Marsaw.
And very well deserved. You gotta grow a beard now, man, Shayne.
Right.
Start talking a little Spanish accent, maybe.
Yeah, dye it white. Yeah, there you go.
He might look like Harvey Weinstein. You never know.
Jeez.
Oh no.
I'm joking.
I think Dustin was in his last movie, so we're gonna have to see if he got raped.
Oh Jesus. Oh boy.
Oh, Dustin. All right, guys. Listen, I hate to dedicate a couple of minutes of our show to something that's personal, but as you guys know, there was a personal attack leveled at me, and when something is leveled at me regarding any of the shows that we're doing, it's leveled at all of us. And so I'd like to address that situation here as quickly as I can, and try to be as fair to all parties as necessary. And those of you who are listening to the show, I don't mind whatsoever if you want to just fast forward 2 or 3 minutes to the tail end of the show. I've been trying to put up show times for everyone in case you don't want to listen to a particular segment. So please feel free. But this is something that happened, and I just want to address it. A little context first. When I was 16 years old, I had a drug problem and an alcohol problem. I was failing from high school. And there was a teacher who saw some promise in me and really helped me get my life together, and pointed me in the direction to success. And I will forever be indebted to that high school teacher. His name is John West. And I also got additional help at my first professional job, where somebody took me under their wing and helped me, and that taught me that I had to give back. And I've always taken that approach after having those 2 experiences with those men. And so in my professional career, I've always sought out the young people who showed promise. And so about 2 years ago, I got a note from somebody who was running a website called The Bears Brothers. And the gentleman who runs that site, Will DeWitt, reached out to me. I told him that I was interested in helping him out. And so we began a working relationship, a mentor-mentoree relationship. I gave him advice. He gave me some advice, too, on some of the things from my website, because he's very technically inclined. And so that was very much appreciated. But I gave him advice on some of his schoolwork, and really spent a lot of time helping his website by writing a weekly column that was very long and really took me most of the day to do, because I was previewing all of the NFL games. And so in order to do a good job, I spent a lot of time on it, like I do with everything I work on, because I'm dedicated to my work and my craft. Well, the year finished, and Will and I ended that football season amicably, and we talked about future projects. He told me that he was interested in hosting Bears Barroom Radio. And I should have said no immediately, because I knew that he wasn't the voice. He didn't have the what we were looking for in that show. We're a much edgier show than what he has demonstrated in some of his work. And so I told him that I would think about it and get back to him. Well, lo and behold, the 3 of us, along with Jose and Lauren, we started producing shows, and about 5 or 6 shows in, he sent me a note that was really bizarre, in that he said, well, I guess I know where I fit in on things, and you blah, blah, blah. And so I was a little taken aback by it, but I said, hey, I'm not sure where you're coming from on this. Is there something that I did wrong? And because it was a little bit unclear what he was accusing me of. And so then he followed up and said, hey, I thought you were going to give me a crack at hosting that show, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we settled things. I wrote him back a note saying, listen, I'm still a fan of yours. I wish you good luck on whatever you do. And I thought that was that. I noticed that he and his other Bear Brother guy stopped following me on Twitter, so I stopped following them on Twitter. I thought that the relationship was over and done with. Well, lo and behold, here it comes a few days ago, and I'm accused by, they got another brother who's a Bear Brother on their staff, and this guy sends a tweet accusing me of booking the same guests on my Bears on Tap show that they've been booking on one of their shows. And I'm like, what? And I replied back, are you accusing me of something? And then things sort of took off, and Will posted something saying, and Shayne, you probably recall it much more because you As a good friend and brother, you stepped into the fight, into the barroom brawl, and you texted something to him, and then I guess Will responded back to you and saying that it's more than a coincidence or some shit like that. So when I read that tweet, I got really fucking pissed off. And that was on a Friday. It was my day off from work. I don't do anything except really go to a bar and have a good time. And I had a few drinks in me when I got home and saw this. And so I asked him, hey, we need to talk over the phone. And so when we talked over the phone, though, I guess the one thing that I regret is that I threatened to kick his ass over it. And I didn't calmly ask him, what's going on here? Why do you think that? But his responses to me were basically that he felt like I was stealing his guests. Well, first of all, nobody steals guests from anyone else. These people are free to go on whatever show. Secondly, if I'm looking for a guest for my show, the last place I'm going to go to is thebearsbrothers.com, because I sincerely believe that the work that we're trying to do is different from what you're trying to do. I want to be as different as possible from what thebearsbrothers.com is doing, and not to say that people who listen to us shouldn't visit their site, listen to their shows. You're free to do whatever you want. But our show, what we do here at the Bears Barroom, this is totally, totally different. So I'm not going to go over there to see what they're doing. Sorry, not going to happen. And so, long story short, I guess circling back to how I started the story is that I feel a little bit betrayed by somebody that I went out of my way to help out and spent a lot of time with this person, mentoring and helping their website, and then to have this person not only via social media, but also tell me over the telephone that he believes that I was trying to steal from him. That was very hurtful, which is why I ended up the discussion that by telling him that if I ever see him, I'm going to punch him in the face. Not very grown up of me, I admit it, but that's the way I react because I was brought up in the mean streets of Chicago. And somebody fucks with me, I'm going to fuck with them. You're going to say some shit to me, I'm going to say some shit to you. So I would like to just end this by saying, fuck you, Will DeVitt. Fuck you, the Bears Brothers. Fuck you, the other guy that sent the email. Fuck you, the other Bears brother who can't speak English. Fuck all of you. And again, if you fuck with me, I'm going to fuck with you right back. So I asked you guys to block me. That way you don't make any accusations about me. And hopefully you have blocked me. I haven't checked. And keep it that way. I don't want to have anything to do with you motherfuckers. All right, guys.
Laying down the wood like Adrian Amos.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Aldo, they blocked me.
Did they block, then unblock?
Yeah, they blocked. They blocked, then unblocked. Yeah. So.
Double block.
Yeah. I could hardly sleep.
You guys
oh my God.
Want to say anything to close this show?
I just want to echo your sentiments and tell all the Bears brothers to fuck off, too.
Listen, I wanted to say this. I was completely by myself, overwhelmed with two toddlers, out asleep when this transpired. I woke up to this giant formulation of text tweets, and I was reading through it, and the dramatics that come with this, and the sub-tweeting, and the now all of a sudden it's about Phil. All of that immaturity to me is just sad. Sad.
I'm not the smartest man in the barroom, but I am the oldest, and so I should know better than to get involved in shit
Aldo,
like this.
Aldo, you have, honestly, I think you put it exactly where you're coming from. You had no ill intent. Your show was your focus, and it was to be factual and truthful. You had one guest that was similar, and BJ Rydell worked with all of us before, and you asked a friend to return to your show as if the Bears brothers had Lauren Cox on their show. All of a sudden, we're up in arms that Lauren's on their show because he worked with us. Now they're pissed because he came on our show. That kind of insecurity really spoke for them, and I completely am just blown away by the sheer stupidity of people in general trying to actually think that there's some validity to that. And I could speak for Aldo in the fact that not only is he a great human being, but to share with your backstory where you don't even have to, Aldo, really says a lot about you as a human being and a person and a friend in general. So I'm proud not only to work with you, but I'm also proud of Shayne for really stepping up and saying what he said, too, in protection of this, and the fact that you're addressing it out in the open here. And I'm sure you would be more than willing to even have them on a show to address it.
Please make that happen.
I'm serious. More than willing. I'm more than willing. I know I speak for Aldo that he'd be more than willing. I've always opened up to anybody willing to if you've gone to that level of disgusting, fraudulent behavior, then it really needed to be addressed. And I really stand by this man, as my followers know, as Shayne, as a friend for a long time knows. I will say what's in my heart. I wear it on my sleeve. I know Aldo is a genuine man and a great human being and a great friend. So even if we get to the point where Aldo got, it needs to be addressed that it got there because of a jealous or an anger or manipulation of truth, and that is unfortunate, and it should never have come onto our shows and our timeline. It was just so ridiculous, and if you fast forwarded this or you're listening to it, I just wanted to make sure the truth was out there, and I'm glad my boss, the man, the myth, the Godfather, said what he had to say.
Thank you for those kind words, Phil. And I'll just finish the topic by saying this. I work alongside people with the highest integrity. I have to have that high integrity too. It's ingrained in me. If not, I'm going to lose the people that I'm associated with, and I don't want that to happen. All right, we've got a really, really busy week still ahead. We've got our FireFox campaign that's going to hit Twitter and all social media. We got Buffon 55 live on Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central. That's the John Buffon Show, where I ask him 5 questions about the Bears, 5 questions about the Ravens, and he's got 55 seconds to answer each question. We've got Bears on tap. My confirmed guest is Ken McCusick of RussellStreetReport.com. We've got Kevin Schrader's player performance grades coming out. Chris Armstrong writes for us. Kieran's comments comes out late in the week. We've got new writers coming. We've got all sorts of great stuff coming, and most of all, we've got the smartest man in the bar room working here, and we've got Draft Dr. Phil, 2 of my closest friends and guys that I really appreciate for you stepping into this barroom fight that we had. And one last thing, remember that if you drink, please don't drive, and always bear down.
Bear the fuck down and don't fuck with our guests, motherfucker.
If you want glitter and ponies, you go to the Bears Brothers. If you want beer and football, you'll stay here.
There you go.
Well, I think that was a great play. I mean, that's what I think.
No milk and cookies here. It's only beer and shots.
That's right.
Listen, we got some Mike D shouts out segments.
Let's go for it.
Shayne, I got Chicago Bears AFR. Guy always brings it for the bar room. Always bringing conversation out there. I got my boy Nelson again getting a shout out, bringing it. How about our boy Josh Bellamy's cousin, Shayne? Marlon has been stepping up his game for the bar room. I'm so impressed with that guy. And how can I just miss? We got. I don't want to miss Trace Mahoney. Trace is a new follower to the bar room. Great stuff. Matt Lee, my boy Air Jer, Sandy Tom.
Got one more, Phil. Can't forget Robert Zaglinski and his man bun and Christmas carols.
Robert. We need Robert on the show too. I gotta figure out what the hell's going on with this brother.
Only if he writes a love poem to Leonard Floyd may he come on our show. Jesus. Jeff Glaw, Josette Elaine, and how about up north of the border?
Oh, Canada.
Bears girl bringing it for the barroom boys.
My muse.
Yeah, your love. And James Ford is my last one this week. Just continues to promote and bring our show to another level. Keep those tweets, those dumb tweets you find, those hot takes on Trubisky and the Bears, the supporters of John Fox. Jim Miller, get the gas face this week, Jimmy. Still trying to bring Mike Glennon. Yeah, he on the score, Aldo. Spiegel asks him, so if Mike was in the game, do you think he would have done as well as Mitch? And Jim pauses and says, well yeah, I mean, he would have, and I believe he's got to take his role as a second stringer and be prepared. He's in the better spot now. Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
Should Mike Glennon be the backup quarterback? Jesus. I mean, it was so bad, Shayne.
Yeah.
Do you think they should honestly have him as the backup quarterback, or is that just a save face?
You know what? I'm making this a Mike Glennon free podcast. How's that? We've moved on.
That's Joe Loggins' answer.
Yes.
It's a yes, by the way.
Yes.
Fellas, great show.
Oh, that was
a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
A Robert Zaglinski stare into the distance special.
He's a fun guy to follow, man. But every once in a while, I do gotta mute him.
I like Aldo's rap better than Robert's jingle.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Tell me that again when you listen to it in the morning.
Oh, Maron.
All right, fellas, I'm out of here. I am gonna have some milk and cookies.
I thought what you said was good.
Thanks,
yeah, it was.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Anytime it comes from the heart, I think it's good.
Well, I gotta be
and it was the truth.
I gotta be careful. My heart's gonna get me in trouble someday.
Oh, I'm the same way, man. I latch onto that shit and I can't let it go, especially on Twitter. I start fucking typing like a madman. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I can't let it go. But
Shayne had to give me therapy the other day because I get so amped up.
I know.
I'm not a Twitter debater. I'm a talker. I can't say what the truth is half the time in 20 seconds. I'm better off letting it marinate, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but come at me, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I hear you. I like to throw some barbs. I like to throw some barbs on Twitter, but yeah, I hear you.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna head out.
All right, Aldo, great stuff.
All right, we'll be talking.
Great job tonight, Shayne.
Yeah, you too, man. Later, guys.
Later.
I got a boner.